You ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, this is a pre-trip on an international motor. Okay, I like to start from the top, work my way down. It doesn't matter, you can work from the bottom, work your way to the top. So I look at the overall condition of my vehicle. I don't see any obvious DOT infractions, so I'm going to go ahead and inspect my top clearance lights. They're properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. Proper color amber. Come down to my hood mirrors. They're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Come down to my headlights. So my headlights consist of my high beams and low beams, four-way flashers, and left and right turn signal, and amber marker light. Okay. I'm going to come down and look to see if my vehicle is leaning to the right or left. That would indicate some sort of suspension failure or possible low air in the tire or a leaning load. Okay. Then finally, I'm going to look underneath, make sure I don't have any fluid that could be coolant or oil or transmission fluid. Right. I'm going to pop this open. Come to the passenger side. All right, so again, I'm going to look at the overall condition of the vehicle, see if I see any obvious DOT infractions. I'm listening for any kind of leaks. I'm smelling. You're using all of your senses when you're doing your pre-trip, right? Okay, so we're looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and inspect my coolant reservoir. It's properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's at the proper fill level. The cap is on tight. The hoses, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. We're good to go there. And let's move on. All right, so here we are at the driver's side, where most of our parts are. I'm going to go ahead and start with my power steering reservoir. I'm going to start at the top, work my way down below. My power steering reservoir is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Cap is on tight, it's at the proper fill level, it's not leaking. And then I'm going to come down to my power steering hoses, okay? I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. All properly mounted and secured, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. We're good to go there, okay? So to continue on with my power steering, I'm going to go to my power steering shaft. It's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. The U-joints, no debris, and they're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Go ahead and do my power steering gearbox. It is gear driven. It's not leaking. If it was, it would be leaking from this gasket right here. Okay, it's properly mounted and secured to the frame. Okay, and we're good to go there. Okay, so we're going to continue on with the steering theme here. We're going to go to our linkage system. You have your pitman arm, drag link, tie rod secured by 3 castle nuts, 3 cotter pins, upper and lower control arm, all properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Then we're going to move on to our shock and shock. Now we're moving on to our suspension parts, by the way. We're moving on to our shock and shock mounts, upper and lower, properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, and not leaking hydraulic fluid. We're good to go there. So the bottom shock mount is attached to the saddle and your U-bolts and your bump stop. If there was one there, there isn't, but we're good. All properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Then you have your leaf spring and leaf spring mounts. You have one here, one in the back, all properly mounted and secured. And so we're good with the suspension. We're going to move on to the brake system. Excuse me. Starting with our brake line here. It's properly mounted and secured. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No leaks. It's going right to our brake chamber. Again, no leaks. We used to have to do the brake chamber, but now you don't have to. So, then we're going to our brake drum and our brake shoes. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. At least a 1/4 inch of brake pad left, and no debris such as grease or oil. Then we're going to our inner and outer wheel. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. No illegal welds. We're good to go there. Then I'm going to come to the tread of my steer tire. Has to be a minimum of 430 seconds. Has to be virgin rubber. Can't be retread, regrooved, or recapped. Has to be evenly worn and no chunks taken out of it and no leaks, right? So from there, we're going to come to our lug nuts. And what I'm looking for is shiny threads or any kind of rust trails indicating loose lug nuts. They're all present and we're good to go there. Now I'm going to come to my valve stem. It's properly mounted secured. I cup it like this so I can feel any kind of air leakage. And if I were to take a proper air gauge, I would get the manufacturer's specifications right there. And it looks like 120 psi. And that is your beginning section. And we're going to go to our side. The hub, as I know it, and I will double check, you don't have to do anymore. Okay.
It's not on our favorite. So.
Yeah, so just
what about
one less thing you have to worry about.
What about welds on the rim? He mentioned it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. All right, so our side mirror and our side mirror bracket is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, no illegal stickers. Going to come down to my side marker light. It is properly mounted and secure. This is actually a marker signal light on this particular truck. So it's properly mounted and secure, proper color amber. We're good to go there. Then I would check my battery box, open it up, check that everything is connected, no corrosion, no loose wires, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, or you could say ripped, torn, or frayed maybe on the wires, okay? Go ahead to our def tank. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Cap is on tight. And checking to make sure there's no leaks. We're good to go. And our fuel tank. Make sure that the little chain is attached. And it is. We're good to go there. Rubber seal. Cap back on tight. Again, checking leaks. Properly mounted and secured. At this point, you can check the fuel line because it happens to be right there. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts or leaks. Okay. And for me, I like to check and make sure that the metal bands and the rubber insulators are all intact, properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Okay. It doesn't hurt. It may not be on your sheet, but it doesn't hurt to say that because it was on the old test. You know, and I know Will and Bill will be like, ooh, he knows what he's talking about. All right. My frame is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Okay. I'm going to come to my emergency line in glad hand. My rubber grommet is properly mounted and secured. No dry rot, no cracks, no breaks. Everything's good to go there. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts or leaks on the emergency line. You would do the same for your service line, okay? And on my electric line, just checking to make sure there's no debris such as rocks or dirt or anything that can clog it up for getting a good connection. On your 7-pin female end, the 7 prongs are in place for the male end. And we're good to go there. All right, so we're going to come to some coupling devices. And I'm going to check my apron. It's properly mounted secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. There is no visible space between the apron and the fifth wheel. The fifth wheel is properly greased. It's at a nice level position because it's locked to the trailer. The release arm is in the lock position. The sliding fifth wheel pins are in the lock position. The pivot pin is properly mounted secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. And I'm going to come underneath and check. I'm getting old, my back hurts, so I'm not going all the way under. But you would go and you would check to make sure your locking jaw is locked properly around the shank of the kingpin and it's properly mounted and secured. And then I'm going to come back and check my taillights. My taillights consist of left and right turn signal, 4-way flashers, and my brake lights. And then I have a backup light which is clear. My what you call mud flaps. No more than 8 inches off the ground. All the reflective tape is present, and we're good to go there. They're going to check to make sure there's the appropriate space between the mud flap and the landing gear, so you don't clip it on a 90-degree turn. Then my K-bar is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. And my landing gear feet are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. And also the landing gear and crank handle is properly mounted and secured and in the stow position. Now I'm going to check my clearance lights on my trailer, properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Checking the bulkhead and the side of the trailer to make sure I'm getting there. I just noticed that myself. Making sure that there's no holes, and we're good to go. No intrusions into the actual vehicle itself. 50% coverage on the DOT tape. And then we're going to check our cross members and our flooring all the way to the end of the trailer. Properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. That's vitally important, because I did see a forklift actually go straight through the bottom of the trailer, and he wasn't fucking happy.
No, I
Someone
did not.
didn't do their pre-check. I was in Philly. That guy was pissed. All right, we're gonna come down to the side. We have a side signal marker light. Okay, it's properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Sometimes you have one big circle with an arrow, and that wouldn't be a marker light, just a signal light. You would have a separate marker light. We're going to keep going down, and we're going to come to our sliding fifth wheel. I'm sorry, my sliding tandem rail. And the sliding tandem rail release arm is in the lock position. The pins are out in the lock position, properly mounted, secured, and also the tandem rail itself all the way to the back is properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. And we're going to come back to our ABS light. This is the proper color amber, properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Marker light, proper color red. Then our clearance lights in the back, properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, and the proper color red. And my DOT tape, 100% coverage. Don't look at the bottom. That's a mirage. No, seriously, if this happens to you out in the road, you could go to any big box, Flying J, Loves, or whatever, and they have big rolls of it. Keep it in your side box if you're over the road. If you're local, then you just tell your company, right? All right, and then my backup lights, my tail lights consist of left and right turn signal, four-way flashers, and brake lights. And we used to say our DOT bumper is properly mounted, secured, not cracked, or broken, but that is your pre-trip. Some of the little things are added, but it's not going to hurt. And believe me, it's nowhere near like the old one. The old one was ridiculous. You had to do the whole suspension truck in the back of the truck. You had to do